Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you are doing well. I really hope you are doing well. I can see that more than 8 people have confirmed their participation. That's great, great number. And I would like to say a big thank you to everyone. I really appreciate your help. Thank you very much. Just a few admin's requests. Please leave your video camera closed and put your microphone on mute. This will put less pressure on my internet. That's why I'm asking this. So just very simple, just close your camera and put your microphone on mute. I will also put my camera off when we move to the next slide. As I said in our group chat, this is a 20 minutes presentation, and to make this time with you effective, I will be answering questions after the presentation is over, right? Once the presentation has been completed, I will be available via our group chat to answer all questions. I'm assuming you have checked the security measures on the previous slide or during our previous slide, so we can progress today's session in a healthy way. This is really important. As you know, health always comes first. Please really check the security measures as recommended in our previous slide. Before we start, let me tell a story. So this is a true story, okay? When I was preparing for this presentation, a question came to my mind. And the question was, how different would your life be after this session? And after some reflections, I'm confident to say it will be much better than it's now. Why? Because today we are going to explore ways to deliver presentations effectively. So that's the main objective of this presentation today, to show you how to deliver presentations effectively using different ways. Sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, really sounds good. So, my name is Cesar, and I hope you really enjoy every minute of this session. Are you ready? If yes, let's get started. So, as you can see, already in our first slide, I have other 2 questions for you. So the first one is, have you ever had the opportunity to prepare and deliver a killer presentation? Do you know the basics of creating presentation using PowerPoint? If to both questions your answer is no or yes, trust me, no problem, right? Because you just need to keep your attention on the today's training session, and I will lead you to develop skills in making an effective presentation and also in how to create a PowerPoint presentation, regardless of your level of understanding. Keep in mind that creating, preparing, and delivering a killer presentation can be easy if you have a formula, right? If you have a formula, everything is going to be easy. And in the following slides, I will show you formulas that will drive you to achieve success when presenting. So that's the trick here, right? You have a formula because I will give you a formula, and this is going to drive you to achieve success when presenting. And after this training, you should be able to prepare and deliver oral presentation demonstration, engage the audience, identify things presenter needs to know about people. This is very important. You need to know about people because you are presenting to people. Create presentations using PowerPoint. Sounds challenging, isn't it? As the main purpose of this presentation is to give you the opportunity to improve your skills in how to give an effective presentation, we are going to challenge you to record a 20 minutes video presentation on any work-related topic using PowerPoint. And we'll give you 2 days after this presentation to prepare for this challenge, right? Very simple, right? We are giving you all tips, we are giving you everything you need to be a good presenter, but after, as part of the assessment, we are going to challenge you to record a 20 minutes video presentation, of course, on any work-related topic using PowerPoint. Just try to explore a topic that you are familiar, and of course using PowerPoint, because this is the object of this presentation, right, of this training today. And I'll give you 2 days after this presentation to prepare for this challenge. Let's now talk about 5 things presenters need to know about people. For this, let me first introduce Susan Weinschenk. Susan Weinschenk is an American behavioral psychologist with a PhD in psychology, and she works in the intersection of behavioral science and design. According to Susan's studies, there are 5 things that presenters need to know about people before they start a presentation. And they are: 1, people learn in small chunks. So in this point, she suggests we should divide in 20-minute parts long presentations. Long presentation, according to Susan, is presentation with length of 1 hour or longer. Or you should divide in 5 minutes parts short presentation. For her, short presentation is presentation with length of 20 minutes or shorter. And present in a sequence parts. 2, multiple sensory channels compete with each other. So in this point, she considered that we should use multiple sensory channels, especially audiovisual. But presenter needs to find a balance between them, depending on the audience. Avoid too much words written on the visual material you are using, because this can distract the audience for what you are saying. 3, what you say is only part of your presentation. Be aware the audience is responding to your body language and tone. Record yourself presenting to get a feel for this and adjust accordingly. 4, if you want people to act, you must call them to action, right? At the end of your presentation, be very specific about exactly what you would like your audience to do. That makes sense? And finally, 5, people imitate your emotions and feel your feelings, right? If you are passionate about your topic, that excitement will be contagious to your audience. Don't hold back. Be yourself and show to your audience that you are really interested to deliver that specific topic. No one better than Susan to talk about her studies. Do you agree with me? And for that, let's see what she has to say on the next slide. Yes, Susan is here on the next slide, and she's going to explain better than me, of course, these 5 things presenters need to know about people.
There are 2 sides to every presentation. You are speaking, but an audience is listening. If you want to give a great presentation, you need to know about people. The more you understand how people think and learn, hear, see, react, decide, the better able you will be to put together a presentation that informs, inspires, and motivates. So here are 5 things that great presenters know about people. Number 1, people learn best in 20-minute chunks. When I'm coaching and mentoring people on presentations, I tell them to go watch TED Talks. If you aren't familiar with TED Talks, you should check it out at TED.com. These are short talks by accomplished people in their fields. And interestingly, most TED Talks are 20 minutes long. I think that's one reason they're so effective. These same presentations stretched out to an hour might not be so brilliant. Maureen Murphy tested the idea that 20-minute presentations are the right amount of time. She had adults attend a 60-minute presentation and the same presentation broken up into 20-minute chunks. She wanted to see if there would be a difference in people's memory of the talk and also their reaction to the talk. When the presentation was chunked into 20-minute segments, people enjoyed the presentation more, they learned more, and they retained the information longer. Most of us give presentations that are often longer than 20 minutes. So if you have a presentation that's longer, see if you can build in some kind of change every 20 minutes. Maybe take a break, a short stretch break, or have an activity or an exercise. Number 2, multiple sensory channels compete. During a presentation, there are 2 sensory channels that are the most active, visual and auditory. Your audience is looking at you and listening to you. They're also possibly looking at slides you're showing. If the slides are visuals that are easy to understand, like photos or diagrams that add extra context and meaning, then having these multiple channels, audio and visual, are a positive experience for the audience. But if the slides are hard to read, if they're complicated, if there's a lot of text on them, then the visual channel is going to be distracting. The visual channel trumps auditory. We are very visual creatures, so if you have complicated information for people to read or look at, then they're not going to be listening to you anymore. So in particular, the sensory combination of slides that are filled with text and a speaker who is talking is just a bad combination. As soon as people are reading, they're not listening to you. You don't have to use slides in a presentation. Try putting your presentation together without any slides first, and then decide if any of your points would be enhanced by the use of a visual example or illustration. You know what I call slides with a lot of text on them? Your notes. If you feel you need slides with text, it's probably because you feel you need notes, but you don't have to show the audience your notes. Number 3, what you say is only part of your message. The research in psychology over the last 15 years has revealed that people process information unconsciously and make very quick, like 1 second or less, unconscious decisions about other people. People react to not only your message, but your voice, your stance, your facial expressions, and your hand movements. There's a special field of study called paralinguistics, which studies how information is communicated besides the words that you say. For instance, I can say, I'd love to go to the store with you. Or I can say, I'd love to go to the store with you. In either case, I've said exactly the same words, but the paralinguistics of the message is totally different. You want to think about how you are saying what you're saying, not just the words. One of the best things that you can do is record a video of yourself giving a presentation, either a real one or just record a practice, and take a look at it and see what your body language and listen for what your paralinguistics are saying. Number 4, if you want people to act, you have to call them to action. Recently, I attended a fundraiser. The speaker got up and gave a pretty good speech. I think he could have used a speech coach, but at the end, he didn't have a call to action. He was trying to raise funds, but he didn't ask for the money at the end of the presentation. There were people walking around after the presentation with jars so you could donate, but no one had actually asked for the money. At the end of your presentation, be very specific about exactly what you want your audience to do. Number 5, people imitate your emotions and feel your feelings. People imitate what they see. If you are smiling, they tend to smile. If you're energetic, they'll be energetic. When you are passionate about your topic, your audience will be passionate. People like to watch and listen to someone who's animated and excited about what they're talking about. If your topic gets you excited, don't hold back. Show how you feel. That feeling will be contagious. So there you have it. 5 things you need to know about people in order to give a better presentation. If you're interested in more ideas like this, check out my book, 100 Things Every Presenter Needs to Know About People.
This was a nice explanation, wasn't it? Susan is using whiteboard animation software. It's very interesting. The animation is very interesting and took my attention. Well done, Susan. So, moving on to the next point, when you think about putting together a good sequencing for a presentation with a clear organization and structure, you should use a sequence as if you were telling the story. And consider that basically, most presentations, regardless of the length, have 3 points. or three parts: introduction, body, and conclusion. Introduction is when you tell the audience what the presentation is about. Body, use this part of the presentation to cover the relevant content. And in the conclusion, highlight what takeaway, right? So going a little deeper about introduction, essentially during the introduction, give the audience some context and explain to them what you are going to present. I would suggest you consider using a hook during the introduction, which can be a short story, but also a fact or question that can hook the audience's attention. In the body, split the context into sections. Keep in mind that you might present it to a listener who is able to capture the message, but the same person can be an uninformed listener. So the listener can capture what you are saying. However, that the same listener could be a person who hasn't got any information about the subject you are trying to develop. So, in summary, tell the story using what is the logical sequence. And finally, in the conclusion, you should reinforce what the takeaway is as suggested by Susan, and be very specific about exactly what you would like your audience to do. There are two types of language when you are speaking in this situation, and they are content language and functional language. Content language is the topic you are talking about, and functional language gives to the listener signal about what you are saying or transitioning to. Exploring more about functional language, we can say that it can be sectioning words or sentence. For example, okay, let's start. The first part of the presentation deals with the next thing I want to move on to. Or it could be transitioning, like moving to the next point. Having said that, let me move on to the next point. And last, I would say that it could be rephrasing or clarifying. For example, let me rephrase that this is. The functional language gives signal to audience that something important is about to be said, moving between sections also by emphasizing, summarizing, and giving example. All the type of functional language is extremely important. Having said that, let's move to the next point, which is engaging audience. Engage audience essentially is associated to three things. One, it's your body language. Two, is your voice. And three, visuals. Let's first talk about body language. Body language is nonverbal communication. Can be gestures, facial expressions, or whatever kind of expression you are making with your body. Extensive research tells us that body language helps to emphasize, work with nervousness, and convey the message, right? Body language can reveal much about feeling and meaning to others and how others reveal their feeling towards us. Body language signal happen on both conscious and unconscious level. It's very important to differentiate that, right? The influence of your body language, the way you are expressing physically, it's going to determine the success of your presentation. Body language is very interesting, isn't it? That said, let me move to the next way to engage the audience, which is the voice. Keep the tone range in a good level, okay? Vary the tone during the presentation and use higher tone to emphasize a word or part of the sentence. Exercise natural, optimistic, and positive tone of voice is always appreciated. Always appreciate it. The audience is going to love it, right? Avoid monotone voice or speaking too fast. This can distract people. People can lose you, right? And keep the tone range varying during the presentation will make your presentation more attractive. Does that make sense? If so, let's move on to the next slide. I hope you notice that there is a video that's automatically playing since I moved to this slide. This was used in a presentation about kids' creativity. The intention here was to catch your attention and at the same time make you think about children's creativity even before the presenter starts to tell the story. Make sense? This is an example of using a visual element in a presentation. And so based on that, we can say that a visual element is any material that gives shape and form to words and thoughts. Types of visual elements include physical samples, modules, handouts, pictures, videos, infographics, and others. Visual elements have come a long way to now include digital tools such as overhead projects, PowerPoint presentation, and interactive boards. We strongly recommend use videos and images associated with the topic to grab attention early on. But this should be interesting and cause high impact. With the previous slide, we wrap up the first half of this presentation as we explore the behavioral elements of a presentation. And from now until the end of this presentation, we will cover some of the most popular PowerPoint features that are common for presentations. The first interesting thing is that you have different ways to access the menu. 1. Through menu bar. 2. By right-clicking where it will be formatted. I strongly recommend you avoid overpopulated slides. If you need to access more information during the presentation so you can be more confident, you should use notes. Another important tip is the number of bullet points. I would go to use a maximum of 5 bullet points per page and spend a minimum of 1 minute and a maximum of 1.5 minutes per slide. If you go too fast, is a risk. Better to have a slow to medium speed than to go too fast. Another thing very important. For text, use font size from 16 to 24, and for headings, from 36 to 40. Use easy-to-read fonts like Calibri and Arial. And the last, but not the latest, the contrasting black on white text with the background is very comfortable on the eyes. Just pay attention to these tips and you'll see that your slide is going to be more balanced. The animation wipe is highly recommended. Bring images out using shadows from the format shape and use bold review to highlight keywords or sentences. Use short tables and use graph with wipe animation. That is going to make a huge difference. When creating a PowerPoint presentation, you should avoid clip arts, stick figures, slide borders, or pictures of yourself, crazy animations, overpopulated slides, and font mixing and fancy fonts. Right? But please, don't get me wrong. I don't want to limit your creativity. This is just a suggestion based on the experience and feedbacks received by other presenters. These presenters, they collected feedbacks from their students that gave origin to this list, to this should avoid list. We are now about to end this presentation and I would highlight a few points I thought you should take away. 1. Create a logical sequencing story. 2. talk for a half period in chunks with some wake-up stop between the parts. 3. Use the right formatting such as the right text size. 4. Use keys, which means keep it simple. 5. Be positive and show enthusiasm. People imitate your emotions and feel your feelings. Trust me, this is science. 6. From the start, keep the focus and message of each slide. Connect with the main objective. Each slide, main objective. 7. Adjust the presentation to the audience profile. These are our 7 takeaways. And I believe we just finished, right? That's the end of the presentation. I hope you really enjoyed this presentation. Please just give me 20 minutes and I'll be available in our chat to answer any question. I just need 20 minutes, right? See you then.